The first playtest for Terra Dominus, the game I've been developing, has gone really well. Many changes have been made on the fly when we're playing, and there are going to be some more big changes in how it plays based on the feedback and experience I've had while playing it myself. It's not that fun to play at the moment. It's really janky. Only a couple of players are still active on the current map at this point, and I've just started conquering lands whenever they don't respond to messages, so I've taken over quite a large part of the map. But even now I've got enough information to make many improvements. And I'll get into what that will entail in a minute, but first I actually want to talk about an aspect of the game that is fairly critical to me, and it's something that I find fascinating. Here are some stats, the metrics from the first 21 turns. The top graph is the total population of the whole map each turn. The second one is food production total, and the third is the number of trees in the world. Food and population are both obviously increasing, but if you look carefully, the population is increasing at a different rate to the food. Look at the very first and the very last bars on the population graph. The difference is much larger than between the first and last bars on the food graph. The ratio is completely different. The population is increasing at a faster rate than the food is. This graph is the theoretical basis behind what is known as a Malthusian Catastrophe. In the 1700s, Thomas Malthus argued that human populations can outgrow their food supply, causing the population growth to be reversed by disease, famine, war, and other disasters. And on this graph you can see that total population theoretically increases exponentially, while food production increases at a more linear rate, theoretically anyway. In the modern world we've been able to make technological advances which allow us to keep up with our needs, and Malthusian theory doesn't allow for that, so it's received a lot of criticism because we haven't seen it play out in reality in modern times anyway. In Terra Dominus I extend this a bit, and I've added a few more factors such as renewable resources in the form of trees which produce wood, and the wood allows us to increase farming output and to mine metals, and that also can feed back in and increase farming output. You can actually quadruple the amount of food you make on any given piece of land with these upgrades. In 21 turns, the population has grown large enough that we are cutting down trees faster than they grow back. It's a long way off, and I don't know how long it'll take to get there in the current map, but eventually we should run out of space and resources, and there might be a population overshoot which would cause a Malthusian catastrophe eventually. Or maybe not, perhaps with player interaction and some warfare and so on, it might not balloon up to that point, but the way things are going, it looks like we're on that path. We should be able to increase the population and food production for quite a while, even though we can see some signs of trouble in the future possibly. In terms of how this map itself is going, there has been a little trading, but no actual battle so far. All the lands I've conquered were a result of players not responding to me when I contact them with an envoy, so I've taken over a large part of the map without any resistance, which is why you can see my logo everywhere. For the first couple of weeks there was nothing to do for the players because they started with a small single unit they couldn't do much with, and they had to wait for their population to grow, so I think I lost a few people early in the playtest because of that. And the obvious fix is to start players with a handful of units that are useful so that they can make something interesting happen straight away. The resource management needs to be fixed. It needs to make more sense and be less tedious. At the moment, once you get a few lands and units, you're transferring resources back and forth to keep people alive, and it's hard to keep track of it all. It's a bit of a headache. This game is meant to be strategically deep, but very simple to play with a small time requirement. But the resource management is working against this. I was hiding some information and expecting players to experiment a bit, figure it out, and I was thinking along the lines of exploration for the players. But the way I was doing it in this game did not work. They need more information so they can understand what's going on and make better decisions. I was just leaving them in the dark in many ways. The interface can be made a lot more intuitive and less annoying. The messaging system is a complete mess, and I'm going to redesign it from the bottom up. There's a bunch of other things that are going to happen, and none of it would have been possible without those who helped by play testing it, and a couple of them that are still in there. Unbelievable, these people have stuck through it for weeks despite all the bugs and gameplay issues. I really appreciate it, and it's making a huge difference. One day it's going to be playable and fun. We're not quite there yet, but if you still want to give it a go, feel free to jump in and mess with it, create your own map if you like. I've been running the first game on 24-hour turns, but if you want to create a game that is down to 6-minute turns, you can do that too. I'll come back with more updates on the game when I have more changes, more updates, something substantial to show you.